Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Alec Codes. Today, I'm going to be doing my first foray into interview coding challenges. The first question is going to be a little bit toughy, but I think some of you guys might be able to figure this one out. And the first question is, when it comes to inheritance, what is the effect of setting your constructor to private? And maybe give me a couple instances of why you'd want to do that. So go ahead and pause the video, and then we can go right to it. Alright guys, I hope you had time to dwell upon this question, and just in case you forgot, the question was, in terms of inheritance, what is the effect of keeping a constructor private, and maybe give a reason or two as to why you would want to do that. Now, think about that real fast, because when you set a constructor to private, it means it can't be accessed by other classes, and it's only able to be accessed by its own superclass, or I guess the class that it's being contained within. And why would you want to use that? Well, one way that people generally use it for is for singletons. Now, I don't necessarily recommend using singletons. This is just an example. And with a singleton, you want to only have one object at a time, and you don't want any more objects created. So by setting it to private, you force individuals to call maybe another method that's able to create the object, and that method can check to see if the object has already been created or not. So that's pretty useful if you want to keep a single object up and running at a given time. You can check it. Another way you could go about setting a constructor to private is if you want to have some sort of method that uses the constructor for specific ways, and you don't want the full constructor or whatever constructors you have being accessed outside by the public. Now, I have an example that I can pull up here and type up. And so let's go ahead and set this to private. I have a user class, and I have a string name, email, and country, and we have a constructor user where we pass in the name, email, and country, and that gets defined here. Now, I also have this user system. Let me just go ahead and let me delete this real fast. So I have a main method. We can go ahead and create objects in here. I just set it to private, so that's why I threw up an error. Actually, I guess I'll go back and add it back in. So I have a user here. Let me set this to public again. Public, user, user, and then Alec, my email, and it's not really my email, don't email that. And then a fake country, United States. Now, seems pretty straightforward, but if you set it to private, you're going to have an issue. So user is equal to new user. I mean, there's you can't do it whatsoever. There's no way. So how do we go about that? So let's say I want to create a method that you pass the name and the email, but you want there to be like a default country, and then you can have the user edit that later on. We can do something like this, where we have a public static, and then we want to return the user itself, because we want to actually return this for people to use. Create user with default country. Sorry about the naming here. I mean, I can't really think of anything simpler. And then instead of passing in name, email, and country, let's go ahead and just pass name and email. Space. There we go. String name, string, not country, email. And what we can do now is we can actually return user, actually new user, and we call the constructor, the OG constructor right here, that's private. And let's go ahead and pass it the name, email, and United States. So there we go. We have a method that you can specify here, create user with default country, and it creates a user with a name, email, and then a default country, so which you can call over here. Actually, let's go ahead and create a simple let me generate a toString here. I don't want to write it out. Alright, so now that'll be simple. I already have that written out here. So when we go to create it here, we do user is equal to user dot create user with default country, and we pass it in the name. Let's do Alec, and then the email, alec@email.com. Oopsies, and then actually that's it. It's default country. So we go ahead and print that out. I probably missed something. So we have user, name is equal to Alec, email is alec@email.com, and the country is United States. So this is another example of what you can do with a private constructor, where you can have a method that limits the use of the constructor for maybe your specific use cases and such like that. You can, of course, do this however you want. You can only take in an email and have default emails and default countries or something like that. But this is just, like I said, just another example of why you might want to set the constructor to be private within a class. So I hope this answers the very first question. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll be sure to answer it, hopefully. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to see you again in the next one. Peace.